UCLA basketball actually gets a player back from the NBA draft. The Dodgers have this strange habit of drafting college pitchers who can't find home plate. That's odd. And LAFC made a slight adjustment last year that actually is what helped them win an MLS Cup. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it's June 1st, 2023. I am back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, trying to make a little bit of extra money for the family. But speaking of family, I want to thank the LA Galaxy family because I know where this subscriber spike is coming from. I am a Galaxy fan. I want to find out who the hell's replacing Chris Klein, but we don't know yet. And both the Galaxy and LAFC played last night, so we got to talk about both. What are you going to do? If you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. We always have good stuff to talk about when we're looking at LA sports. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Former Dodger prospect Kelbert Ruiz hit 2 home runs, and the Dodgers allowed 5 home runs overall. Washington 10, Dodgers 6. The first place Dodgers, they tried for the sweep, didn't get it. Will Smith, he did hit a home run for LA, and Noah Syndergaard didn't look good at all once again. Meanwhile, the Galaxy 3, Real Salt Lake 2. There was joy in the post-Chris Klein era. We have a rapid recap, by the way, of that match on the Galaxy playlist. The upshot, Tyler Boyd lifted the Galaxy to their first road win. The Galaxy scored 2 goals in 2 minutes in the second half. In CONCACAF Champions League in the first leg, León 2, LAFC 1. And to be honest, that game was not as close as the final score leads you to believe. LAFC got a goal from Dennis Bouanga on pretty much the last kick of the game. The Champions League final will continue with the second leg Sunday in LA. There are no matches today, by the way, no games involving LA teams. But let's start with the Bruins. UCLA regained a player for once with their basketball program. Adem Bona has withdrawn from the NBA draft. And honestly, UCLA needed this. They needed it badly because they had lost their entire starting lineup except for Bona now that he's returning. How are you going to wind up competing for an NCAA title when you lose that much veteran leadership, that much star power? It's very difficult. Bona was the Pac-12 freshman of the year. Now, his points and his rebounds per game, not that severe as a freshman, 7.7 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game. But again, UCLA would have been extremely inexperienced going into next season without Bona. This is something that Bona had to consider because he went to the combine and said afterwards, quote, that this process is just as much about timing as it is about skill. So I need to prepare and put myself in a perfect situation when turning pro. I don't think that time is now, unquote. Now, there are 2 other Bruins who theoretically could have withdrawn from the NBA draft. 2. One says he's absolutely staying in the NBA draft. That would be Jalen Clark. Clark, by the way, was the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. Clark missed the NCAA tournament with an Achilles injury. So not that it was blown out, like, say, unfortunately, Kobe Bryant at the end of his career, but he's limping around a little bit. Anybody who takes this guy in the NBA, they're not going to be able to have him on the court for a while. Today is the day where players across the country have to decide whether they are staying in the NBA draft or going back to college. The Dodgers may have met their match in Noah Syndergaard because they have tried their best to help this guy regain his form, to help this guy become an elite pitcher once again. It hasn't been working. And yet LA, aside from Syndergaard, has an almost impeccable reputation for developing pitchers. There is a story out now that actually says the Dodgers are going out of their way to draft wild college pitchers because they believe that they can take that wildness, because the wildness comes from just incredible velocity or an extreme break on a breaking pitch, and correct the flaws in the windup to get them to eventually throw strikes, and then all of a sudden they have an elite prospect. The Athletic, who wrote this story, talked about a guy in low A, Maddox Burns. Maddox Burns named after Greg Maddux, and as you might imagine, not the control of Greg Maddux. The Dodgers actually mapped out his development prior to drafting him late in the first round. What they noticed about Burns was his long legs. Pitching coordinator Rob Hill said, quote, "Those long legs could get into this corkscrew position very easily. Maddox has a very timing-based throw," unquote. So the solution, which by the way is tailored to every Dodgers prospect, is crafted, including, for Maddox cases, changing his delivery from overhand to 3/4. Then there becomes the muscle memory drills. Now, the growth of these drastic changes has not been smooth. It hasn't, which is why he's still in low A. But, quote, "If you have insanely good stuff, your margin for error increases quite a bit," unquote. They have pitchers up and down the minors, from low A all the way to triple A, with, quote, "crazy stuff." They're just basically following all their own individual plans to hopefully get to the show. Speaking of the show, the Dodgers have recalled left-handed reliever Alex Vesia from AAA Oklahoma City. He was sent to Oklahoma City when he stumbled out of the gate this season with a 7.84 ERA. Vesia was solid in the Dodger bullpen for 2 years. Solid. Unfortunately, he stunk up the joint as previously mentioned. So to make room for Vesia, the Dodgers sent prospect Gavin Stone back to AAA. Gavin Stone started 3 times for the Dodgers this year and compiled an absolutely painful 14.40 ERA. The demotion is actually a hint at a potential future move for the Dodgers. Michael Grove may soon be returning from a groin injury. Former Major League General Manager Jim Bowden is now a columnist, an insider in the media, and he now thinks the Dodgers, they're just not one player away. They're not 2 players away. According to Bowden, even though the Dodgers have the second best record in the National League, they are possibly as many as 4 players away. According to Bowden, he would like to see the Dodgers get upgrades at shortstop, left field, another starting pitcher, and a full-time closer. What do you think about that? That's a lot for a team that has the second best record in the National League. Does anybody remember when JD Martinez had to go on the injured list with back pain? Which is actually kind of a problem when you're a power hitter. Well, apparently it actually worked out, because that time on the injured list included time in May, a good chunk of May. He only played in 18 games in May after coming off of the injured list, and he hit 8 home runs. 8. Seems like every time he touches the baseball, it's 100 miles an hour, Dave Roberts said. He's been perfect, unquote. LAFC, I got to be honest with you, for the black and gold. When they first hired Steve Cherundolo, when he first got the gig, I thought LAFC had lost their damn minds. I really did. He came from the Las Vegas Lights. The Las Vegas Lights of USL have never qualified for the USL playoffs. They were garbage when he was their manager. And yet, he goes to LAFC, and they win an MLS Cup last year. What gives, right? Well, for his part, Cherundolo said that he kept virtually everything that his predecessor, Bob Bradley, did. Kept the 4-3-3 formation. Kept the idea of pressing with a high line and the idea of high pressure on offense. But where Bradley did not succeed, and Cherundolo did, was on defense. Bradley wanted pressure, 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 and that included his defenders pressuring the front line of the opposing team on defense, trying to get the ball back, whatever it took to get the ball back, whatever it took to apply pressure. What Cherundolo says that he wants LAFC doing when the other team has the ball is to get in the way of the passing lanes. The passing lanes. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Because what had happened when the Black and Gold would play the Galaxy? Who in their right mind thinks anybody in MLS could have possibly defended Zlatan Ibrahimovic? No, the better choice for LAFC was to keep Zlatan from getting the ball in the first place. Because once Zlatan got the ball, he just overpowered everybody. So Cherundolo replaces Bradley, makes that one switch, and then all of a sudden LAFC, they have a cup. It's a change so subtle and so simple, it just makes you want to smack your head. As a lot of good ideas tend to do. Ilie Sanchez said, quote, "This team has his identity. Everything that we do and can achieve, it's because of him," unquote. And when you consider how Bob Bradley is struggling in Toronto, kind of makes a lot of sense. UCLA football is in debt. The athletic department is in debt, a lot of debt. That's why the Bruins moved to the Big Ten in the first place, and we've talked a lot about that. Not a good time to add another bill to the credit card ledger, don't you think? But that's exactly what the Holiday Bowl down in San Diego intends to do. They are suing UCLA and the Pac-12 for the canceled game in 2021. If you remember, the Bruins pulled out of the game literally hours before kickoff due to COVID concerns. The Holiday Bowl Game Association wants $3 million as compensation. Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris helped save a drowning child in Las Vegas last weekend. Now, I don't want to overdo this, right? He did contribute, but it wasn't like he was the one doing chest compressions, screaming, "Don't go to the light." No, there was a doctor there to do that. Morris asked where the AED, that's an automated electronic defibrillator, was, and he ran into the hotel and got it. Also with the Rams, Byron Young continues to draw the eyes of people at OTAs. Young, a defensive end, he has been described as fast off the ball, that he wins battles off the edge, and that he can change direction on a dime. And when you think about the Rams, when literally all they have left on defense is Aaron Donald, any little bit to try to get pressure on the quarterback is going to help. Chargers left tackle Rashawn Slater. He underwent season-ending surgery after rupturing his left bicipital tendon back in week 3. Obviously very painful. As a result, though, he is now describing himself as 100% from the surgery. Now, after he was injured, everybody thought, oh my God, the Chargers are toast. How are you going to wind up protecting Justin Herbert? Fortunately for the Bolts, rookie Jamari Salyer acquitted himself well. You could even argue that Salyer saved the Chargers' season. So the plan for the Chargers is to have Slater retain his job at left tackle. Salyer will move to right guard. He has earned himself the full-time gig. There are also plenty of reports circulating that the Lakers want to utilize D'Angelo Russell in a sign-and-trade situation. You're going to hear about that a lot in the months ahead. Just an absolute ton. Because he's one of the few tradable assets that they have. But he stunk up the joint so bad in Denver, how much trade value does he actually have? Now, who the Lakers could use him to acquire in a trade, you're going to hear every name under the sun for the next couple of months. So I'm not going to give you a mile-long list of names because we have no idea what the Lakers are going to do with that, if they can do anything at all. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Let me know what you think about UCLA basketball now they've actually got a player back in the system. Let me know what you think about the Dodgers and their quirky little minor league approach. And if you enjoyed talking LA sports with me, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.